to Mimi and Pie. Pie, Mimi. I'm definitely not making this up as I go along. Mimi and Pie. Pie, Mimi. We definitely know how to read things. Mimi and Pie definitely know how to press the right button.
We definitely do most of the time.
She accidentally hit the off button instead of the record button.
I did, and it was like, no, that's the wrong button.
It was a few seconds of awkward silence, just staring at the camera closing itself, and we're just like,
Mimi and Pie definitely know how to record things.
Anyways, hello Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Mimi and Pie Definitely Know How to Read Things.
We definitely do.
And in this episode, reading Chapter 11 of Minecraft the Island, written by Max Britt. It stops itself after 40-something seconds. How wonderful useful.
We definitely know how to record things.
Anyways, this chapter is called Courage is a Full-Time Job. Who goes first?
We should play rock, paper, scissors.
Why is there an exclamation? Hello Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Mimi and Pie Definitely Know How to Read Things.
We definitely do, for the third time, and the fourth time actually in the future. It's the future for us.
Yeah, we had to re-record the first page of the chapter because the recording for that part got deleted.
By an evil monster.
At least we think it was an evil monster.
No, it was. It was like a shadow hacker.
Alright, let's get to reading. Chapter 11, Courage is a Full-Time Job.
Full time, like 40 hours a week.
I'd be lying if I said I remembered my dream, or even if I had any, but waking up the next morning confirmed what a good night's sleep could do for my mind. Imagine walking through fog, not so thick that you can't see your hand in front of your face, but just thick enough to blot out the landscape. That had been me for so many sleepless days and nights. Now the fog had lifted and I could finally see where I was going.
That's good.
Back to fishing, I thought, grabbing my shears. Back to trying to make a net.
Totally
And
cool.
That's the end of this part. Alright, past selves, take over, go! Oh. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Mimi and Pie Definitely Know How to Read Things.
We definitely do.
Last episode, we were having troubles with the camera stopping the recording, but not turning off, just stopping the recording.
No, it was the same episode.
I said last episode.
Yeah, it's this episode.
Wait, okay.
We just didn't get very far.
Let's continue reading.
Let's start over.
Okay, but
Should
not
we
with the whole
continue?
spiel. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to where we were.
Hey, Cloud.
I said to the white sheep,
How do you sleep? Do you sleep? Apparently I do, and it's really gotten the wheels turning. In fact,
I snipped off 3 fluffy cubes.
I was thinking that the only piece of the missing nut puzzle is more wool.
Spying Flint a few paces away, I was relieved to see that his, or her, beautiful black coat had grown back.
No problem if this doesn't work.
I said, shearing off 2 more soft dark blocks and carrying them all to the forest side crafting table.
Because I just woke up with a backup plan.
Ooh, backup plan.
Yay, backup plan. He's learning.
Less than a
Character
minute and
development.
several wool-on-wool combinations later, I saw that the fishing net idea was out.
And that backup plan is...
I told the sheep,
Drum roll, please. A fishing pole,
bah!
said Flint, who went back to eating grass. I know.
I said,
Duh. That's the most obvious tool. What a difference a few Z's make. Z is the best letter of the alphabet.
I thought it was the letter E, because it's the most popular.
Oh.
It's like famous. It shows up in like all the words.
Okay, Z is the second best letter.
Because it's worth the most points in Scrabble?
No, because Z is... never mind. Crafting a quartet of sticks. Ooh, quartet is a good word. I placed them in the wool on the crafting table. While mixing and matching came up with nothing, my recharged brain was already onto a backup plan. So wool doesn't work.
I said, reaching for the length of spider silk in my pack. When that didn't work either, I moved on to the next logical step. And that's when my enthusiasm cooled.
Maybe this world just won't let me make a fishing pole.
I wearily told the sheep.
And I'm kind of hoping that's true.
An icy ball began growing in my stomach.
Because if it's not, then the only other option is getting another length of spider silk. Moo.
Moo. The sound made me jump.
Don't sneak up on me like that.
I told Moo angrily. Moo, she retorted, telling me not to change the subject.
It won't be that dangerous.
I said, holding up my bow.
We know they're docile in daylight, so if I can pick one off at a safe distance.
She snorted.
I gotta try.
I protested, holding up a handful of zombie flesh.
I can't keep living on this stuff.
Moo, argued the cow, reminding me about the garden.
Well, that's still a long way off.
I said.
And we still don't know if I can eat it.
Moo, questioned Moo, seeing that I was telling her that I wasn't telling her the whole story.
No, I guess it's not just about food.
I admitted, as thoughts and feelings rose from deep down in my gut.
It's about, guess what the word is?
Tacos.
Courage. No, it's
Tacos.
courage.
Tacos.
No, the
Eating
word was
tacos
courage.
give you courage. It's true. Everyone knows this.
I mean, I guess, but the word was courage.
It does say courage. It should say tacos. Looking down at my shoes, I suddenly felt a twinge of shame.
I've been afraid of those mobs, always running from them, always thinking about what they could do to me.
Bah, said Flint with a healthy dose of common sense. That's what everyone needs, a sheep that just gives them common sense.
Talking sheep.
That eat tacos.
Yes, I know I should be afraid of them.
I conceded.
If I wasn't, I wouldn't be alive. I get that fear is a survival instinct, and I don't want to ever ignore it.
I looked down at the bow again, then up to my friends.
But I can't be a prisoner of it either. I need to know that if I have to fight, I can. That I can control my fear instead of it always controlling me.
I motioned to Disappointment Hill.
If I don't, I'll be cowering in a hole forever, and that might be surviving, but it's not living.
No.
It sure as goodness isn't living.
Moo let out a low, resigned moo. She knew I was making sense, even if that sense put me right in harm's way.
Yeah, you're right.
I answered, looking at the late morning sun.
I wish I had come to this conclusion last night. At least then I could have found a spider first thing this morning instead of having to wait for one tomorrow.
Nothing is worse than waiting, counting the seconds, drenched in anxiety. Do you know the difference between anxiety and fear? I didn't until that day.
Fear is real, present, right in your face threat. Anxiety comes from a potential, or in this case, future threat. Fear can be conquered. Anxiety has to be endured. And that's what I did. Walking around the island, talking to Moo or the other animals, going over in my mind how I'd kill the spider, all the while enduring wave after wave of mouth-drying, jaw-clenching anxiety.
At the crest of those moments, like waves on a stormy sea, were thoughts I'm still a little reluctant to talk about. They were thoughts of backing out.
The garden will be ripe soon. Zombie flesh isn't so bad. There's no proof whatsoever that this world will let you make a fishing pole.
These are only some of the excuses I came up with to try to justify staying safe. As the day wore on, I could feel my nerve cracking. My will started to give away. If this world had regular 24-hour days, I probably would have surrendered to cowardice. As night fell, I retreated to the bunker, got into my bed, and prepared for another recharging sleep. I didn't get it. The clamber of zombie fists jolted me out of bed. A ghoul had come calling.
Get out of here!
I shouted, wishing this world would let me craft earplugs.
I gotta get some sleep.
Gah! The zombie groaned, teasing my terrified heart.
Yeah, well...
I won't tell you the last part of what I yelled. It wasn't my finest moment. What I really should have said to the zombie was,
Thank you!
because after a day of trying to make up reasons not to fight, I'd just been reminded of why I should. Each punch of the putrefied fists helped batter my anxiety into resolve.
If I didn't have to save my only arrow,
I growled out the grumbling ghoul.
you'd be a midnight snack. Oh, that is intimidating.
By dawn, I was more than ready for battle. I watched the sun burn my would-be home invader into a smoldering chunk, which I washed down with a bucket of Moo's finest.
No more waiting. Now or never.
Bow in hand, I marched out the western door and stopped short at the sight of a spider sitting just within the shade of the woods.
Now or never.
I whispered again, creeping slowly across the exposed open field. The arachnid didn't notice me, or, true to my theory about daylight, didn't seem to care. It even turned away as I inched to it within a dozen or so blocks. Heart pounding, skin tingling, mouth dry as sand, I drew a short breath and drew back my bow. The arrow rocketed skyward, thunking down into the spider's bulbous body, and it did not die. Rasped the eight-legged killer, eyes whipping around to lock squarely on me.
Oh.
I gulped. I sprinted back for the safety of the hill. Hisses rang in my ears. Cold, jagged fangs ripped down my back. I fell forward, stumbling, gasping, running for my life as more bites tore at my exposed flesh. No amount of adrenaline could push me past the slicing fangs. No amount of hyper-healing could counter their continuous blows. A third strike knocked me against the side of the hill. I kissed dirt, felt my front teeth crack, and saw that I'd never make it to the open door. Hissed the exultant arachnid, crouching for its final leap.
Enough!
I shouted, grabbing the stone axe from my belt. I spun, swung, and caught my attacker in midair. Crude stone slammed into Crimson Eyes, throwing the spider back and buying me enough time to run. Only I didn't run. I charged.
Ah!
Snarling like a zombie, I struck the spider again. It hissed. I hit.
Yeah!
It leaped. I chopped. A final rasp. A puff of smoke and my first stand-up battle was over. And to the battered, tattered victor, what a length of thin, white silk. Moo! Called my congratulatory friend along with a few celebratory...
That was a weird bah. Thanks, but...
I huffed, grabbing the sticky twine.
I just hope it works.
Slouching painfully over a crafting table, I placed my sticks and string. I coughed as my hyper-healing tried and failed to rejuvenate me on an empty stomach.
Gotta work.
And it did!
Yay! He made a fishing rod.
Yay! 3 diagonal sticks and 2 vertical lengths of silk later, I was showing off my new invention to Moo.
Look!
I cried, then collapsed into a hacking fit.
No more zombie flash.
My creation looked pretty much as you'd expect, a long wooden rod with a short line at the end. The crafting table had even given me a hook and a little red and white mini square bobber.
At least I thought it was a bobber. It suddenly occurred to me that I had no memories of fishing. I must have seen the bobber in pictures or heard about it from someone else. That's probably why I hadn't considered another important fishing aid until now. Don't hooks need some kind of bait?
I asked Moo nervously.
Or a lure?
Moo, responded the even-tempered cow, reminding me that I didn't need to attract the squid to catch it.
Right, sorry.
I said as the flash of panic subsided.
I just need to cast out and snag it, which means I better practice snagging.
Hobbling to the north shore, I whipped the hook out to the sea.
I'll say this for spider silk.
I told Moo.
It sure does scratch.
I was about to pull in my line for another practice cast when I noticed the water bubbling. To be more specific, I saw little mini squares of water popping up on the surface all around my bobber.
Was it always this way?
I asked Moo.
Did I just not notice it before?
Moo's response sounded like,
What do you think? Couldn't be.
I answered.
It's gotta be because of the hook. But why?
I couldn't see any squids around. I couldn't see anything except the water and that new...
Trail!
I yipped as a V of bubbles appeared off to my far right.
What is it? What should I do?
I asked nervously. All the fear I'd faced with the giant spider suddenly came rushing back. Was that a squid far below the surface? Or a bigger mama squid? Or some giant sea monster I hadn't even seen before?
Imagine if he caught a guardian on his fishing rod.
Ooh.
That'd be terrifying.
Or an elder guardian. Or a dolphin.
Oh, but if he caught a dolphin, that'd be sad.
That would be sad. Was it about to grab my hook, pull me in, drag me into its open tooth-filled... You couldn't just let go of the fishing rod?
Be brave!
Called Moo, forcing me to stand my ground.
Think of all the fear you've conquered, all the anxiety you've endured to get to this point. Don't throw it all away now. You're right!
I hollered, amazing at how much wisdom she could cram into one simple moo.
Courage is a full-time job.
The water splashed, the bobber sank, and I felt a strong tug on my line. I yanked back hard, expecting to see some subsea behemoth exploding up at me. Instead, a little bluish-gray creature about the size of my hand flew out of the water and into my belt.
A fish!
I exclaimed.
There's fish in the sea. Apparently he didn't notice the experience orbs.
I didn't worry about why I couldn't see them or how this one had been attracted to my hook. Immediately, I chomped into the soft, smooth skin and was immensely relieved that my mouth and hand cooperated.
Imagine if you couldn't eat the fish in Minecraft. That'd just be like,
Moo, called Moo, halting my chewing and reminding me of the dangers of raw food.
except chicken's the only raw food in this game that is potentially dangerous. Every other food you don't need to cook in this game for whatever reason. But it is more effective if you cook it, so cook your food in Minecraft. And in real life, because unlike Minecraft, raw food in real life is definitely dangerous.
Definitely.
Right!
I told her,
Sushi's great, but we don't know if this is a sushi-grade fish.
limping back to my bunker. I was relieved to see that the furnace also complied, filling my room with an enticing, familiar smell. The flames turned the bluish fish to gray, and the flesh formed a slippery slime to flaky white perfection.
Hey, before we continue, it's a Minecraft meme on the screen.
It totally is with
Blah.
Bongo Cat.
Bongo Cat turning chickens into food by hitting them very fast.
And it says V equals 1665.65 M-S.
I'm gonna guess that's meters per second.
And V equals velocity, and that's how fast Bongo Cat can turn chickens into raw chicken?
That's how fast he can move his paws. Delicious fish.
I mumbled, savoring each mouthful as my hyper-healing roared back to life.
More.
I moaned and stepped outside onto the eastern beach. Just like before, I cast out my line and waited for the seas to boil. It took a little longer this time. Who knew fishing required patience? Like
man.
every fisher person ever?
Man, I never would have guessed that fishing requires patience.
Shh, you'll scare the fish. But after a minute or so, I saw another bubbling V. I waited for the bite, felt the tug, and yanked back hard. This time, a small pink and red fish with a pronounced lower jaw flapped onto my hand, not into the bell, into your hand.
You look like a tasty salmon.
I told my dinner.
Now, let's see if you taste like one. Remember when I used to call salmon salmon?
I do.
That was so silly.
Turning back for the bunker, my eyes happened to fall on the wheat garden. There were 3 squares of ripe grain.
From famine to feast.
I thought, plucking up the golden stalks and carrying them over to the beachside crafting table. 3 seconds and 3 vertical stalks later, I was holding a soft, warm loaf of bread.
Isn't bread crafted horizontally and not vertically?
3 vertical stalks? The stalks are vertical?
I guess, but they're not placed vertically.
No.
This is an important question.
Not as important as Mommiesaurus makes better bread anyway.
Yeah!
And it tasted great because I learned how to cook it from Mommiesaurus.
Yay!
Go watch her video. Basic bread. Yum.
Yum!
Light and tangy like a baguette straight from the oven that Mommiesaurus makes.
That's all it took?
I marveled.
Just 3 stacks to bake bread. Haha, new movie achievement.
Moo! Came a call from the hilltop above.
Yes, that's true.
I smiled up at Moo.
The imagination ditch.
No, that's not what that word is. Try reading it again.
The irrigation ditch must have made the wheat grow a lot faster. Imagination ditch.
Moo! She continued, this time with a chastising edge to her voice. That's for reading it incorrectly. Even Cow in the book knows. This cow is really smart.
If I checked on the garden earlier,
I conceded.
I wouldn't have had to take such a great risk for a fishing pole. But then, I never would have found my courage.
Yay!
And that's the last page of the chapter!
I hope you guys learned absolutely nothing about chapter 11 and courage and fishing and how to make a fishing pole.
Yeah! See you next episode!
Okay, bye!
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 Yeah!
Bye!
You're trying to outbuy me?
Bye! That's like a lot of buys.
Okay, let's
Buy Minecraft the Island. It's a really good book.